All right, DJ LeRoy.
NightWatchman, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. You know, NightWatchman, we're in the midst of summer, right?
That's
Uh,
right.
July is about to end.
Yeah, but this summer is going to be a summer of soul.
Oh, are you sure? Are you telling me that 69 is repeating itself? Is that
That's
it?
right. That's right. That's right.
Wow, wow.
Harlem Festival of Culture is about to be upon us. And
Oh man, oh man. I'm ready. You
we
ready?
brought back the prodigal daughter and son to tell us all about it. They were here was it 2 years ago?
It
I think
feels like it. It feels like an
yeah, I think
eternity.
so. It was I think it was 2 summers ago. And
Yes,
then
yes.
the whole, you know, this thing caught some fire.
Yeah,
So,
big fire, big
all
fire. You
right.
know what? As a matter of fact, hold on. Are you talking about the Harlem Festival of Culture? But it will deliver a series of live entertainment, community impact, and economic development programming during the first annual celebration launching spring of 2022. And
Mm,
a multi-day outdoor festival in summer of 2023. I
uh,
think we're ready for that. What do you think?
should we run the trailer first before we introduce them, or
Yeah, let's do it. Get it popping.
okay,
Uh,
hold on.
uh,
Chill out. There's more. Tickets available now.
wow. Night
That's
watch.
what's up.
Woo! Baby, baby.
All
Talk
right.
about blowing us away. Okay. So you know what? We have two of the three musketeers, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
and and that's good enough for me, man. Let's
Okay.
bring out Nikoa Evans Hendricks. Bring her out. Yes, come on. Let's get yay.
Good evening, Nikoa.
Good evening, actually. Good evening.
Oh man. Countdown, baby. You ready?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. 2 years
oh,
in the making for sure.
love it, love it. And the next, your other partner in crime, Musa. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Good
All right.
evening, everybody.
So Musa knows and whatnot that is it's about to happen. It's about to go down. So
Mm-hmm.
is he just taking this subdued approach, Nicole? What's going on here?
Well, it has been 2 years. We've been living and breathing this
Mm-hmm.
second skin for 2 years. And so much of it we couldn't talk about for the longest. To be here in the home stretch for something that, Moose and I literally sat down in July 21
Mm,
at a table in my home to brainstorm about what this reimagined festival could look like. Sometimes we just have moments where it's just surreal because there's just
mm,
been so much what it entailed to pull this off, the team that
yes.
had to be built, and just the task. It's been 24/7 for 2 years. So we have to take it all in sometimes. Like and then it's the day after you start working on.
That's right, because you said annual events. So that's right. As soon as it's over, oh my God, planning for next year begins, huh?
Hmm.
Oh wow. Okay.
Take one day off.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Musa, what do
Well,
you have to say, buddy? Come on.
I mean, for me, it's not just 2 years. For me, it's a lot more special than that. Um, I'm that 4-year-old kid who went to a festival in 1969. That will never
Mm,
leave. That will never leave me. So this is actually 54 years for me. It's
Wow.
been living in my head. And so to see it sort of come back, be a part of that reimagining is an incredible feeling.
Yes.
There's a lot of joy. Even if you see me like this, it's emotional.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
so many people that I knew that were there can't attend. Some have passed on,
Yes.
but I'm really excited. My family's coming in, so that we're actually there with me. And so, it's like, and then we have children, and my sister has grandchildren. You know what I mean? She was
Yes.
13 years old, when she went
Wow.
there like that. And she's a, grandmother of 4. So it's like,
Wow.
coming back for her and thinking back. I think about all that. Obviously the 2 years in the making has been, beyond our wildest dreams, Nikoa and I's wildest dreams. You know what I mean? But I still kind of live with the other stuff too, and
Mhm.
and then along the way, you run into people, guys who will say things like, "Yo, I was there," I DJ'd a party or something like that.
Mm.
You don't know, and these people that you've been hanging out with, for 20 years, but because this has been resurgence, they're talking about their experiences. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
been going down memory lane and just thinking about what the future holds, and and this incredible festival that's going to be coming up in a week. 7 days. We will be it'll be live. So you know
Incredible, incredible. And you know what? One of the things I definitely do have to say, okay, so we certainly do know that Harlem Week started out 74, right? Still has the legacy that's continued. So this is the beginning of the continuing legacy of Harlem Festival of Culture. Is that not correct?
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. No question. I mean, Harlem is legacy, and what's great is there's so many opportunities to continue that legacy. So this is just one of. I mean, you mentioned Harlem Week, which is globally known, and
Hmm.
has really set the mark for just how you celebrate Harlem in a way that is really representative of the community spirit that we have here. So, Musa and I really wanted to make sure that, we shared with the community that this was really for them. I mean, when we came together with the idea to bring it back, the impetus was literally we have to preserve this for the community. This legacy has been buried for 50 years or 53 years. And, there was a potential situation in which it could have been lost for another 50 years. And so we just felt compelled as stakeholders in the community and people who had been championing the community for many, many years, that it was a call to action for us to bring it back and to make sure that the community knew this was for them and that it would never be lost again.
Excellent, excellent. And you know what? I was not long ago at an event, a chamber event, and they brought up Harlem Festival of Culture, and they basically said, "No, no, this is not any competition. This is another part, a part of the legacy." And Musa, thoughts?
Well, you mentioned Harlem Week, which, I was at the first Harlem Week. I mean, I'm born and raised in Harlem,
Mhm.
son of activists, predating me. And so, anything cultural from birth,
Mm.
I was pretty much there. And
Yes.
so if it was in Harlem, so I remember the first Harlem Week in '74. I was 9 years at that time, 9 years old.
Hmm.
And so, seeing that development, and that was always a thing. That was just
Yes. Yes.
always, from the get go. It was, that time of year specifically for families from Harlem. We didn't have homes other places. So this was
Hmm.
like the community and summertime. It was about celebrating us. Kids were out of school. What are you going to do? Let's celebrate the community. And Harlem Week was just a big deal.
Hmm.
Every
Hmm.
still is a big deal,
Yes.
and once
Yes.
again has really set the path for for anybody that's coming, coming Harlem Festival of Culture, basically comes behind that in a way that is, different, because it's something that we're reviving the festival from '69. And actually, to be truthful about, to be fully transparent, it started in '67. The original one was '67, '68. So it was 3 summers, and '69 was the last time that that they had a festival, our festival. So even though we sort of predate a little bit in a way, this is definitely just something fresh and new, and reimagining that great moment, and adding to the culture, this rich culture that we're so just honored to every day to celebrate and make sure that our legacy continues.
Well, one of the things I have to say though, Nicole, I'm totally impressed with you, because remember, because you, unlike Musa, you're a shy girl, okay, right from Chi-Town all the way, but yet you came into Harlem and immediately embraced the community. So tell me, Harlem was resonating in your bones?
Actually, I went to graduate school in Chicago. I went to business school at Kellogg, so I'm not from Chicago. But when I moved to Harlem, I came in '99. Deborah Wright at the time was the CEO of the Empowerment Zone. She recruited me from DC to come work on the restaurant and retail development. I was working in retail development. And so when I came to Harlem, I'd of course heard of Harlem, the lore and history, and thought this is an incredible opportunity. Didn't realize when I got here that, I'm a military kid. I grew up traveling around the world. So my family's from Atlanta, but I lived everywhere overseas half my childhood. So Harlem was supposed to be a 2 to 3 year stop for me. But Harlem, once you get here, you can't leave. You start doing the work. And it was wonderful for me to be someplace where I thought, wow, this could be home for me. I've been moving so much my entire life, but I think I want to plant some roots here. So that's really where it started. But Harlem will quickly teach you that you got to prove you're going to do the work.
Oh, wow. Yes.
And so that's where I came up on that introduction of like, well, we'll see what you got. And so you met me early on. And Musa was actually one of the first people that I met when I moved to New York, to Harlem in '99, and just had to show and prove. And so spent many years as an entrepreneur myself after I left the Empowerment Zone, and then of course Harlem Park to Park, organizing the businesses and promoting and creating opportunities for entrepreneurs. And now doing this, and you, Curtis, have been supporting me through Harlem Community Development Corporation. Literally, I have grown up with you. I honest to God, doing the work in Harlem, you have literally been a supporter of mine since 2010. So I wouldn't even be here if it hadn't been for the way you kind of groomed me and taught me. And I just want to also say, you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce and Harlem Week. We had a wonderful meeting with them that we were just so touched with Bosa Rivers and Lloyd, where it was a real conversation about how proud they were of us.
Wow.
And what we were doing and building on what had been done with Harlem Week, and they saw this as sort of the next iteration of just a celebration in Harlem. But I just have to tell you, as someone not born and raised in Harlem, to have those two individuals and say to me, Musa's their nephew. They call him nephew, right? They already do. They've been grooming him. But to get that from them it was one of the best moments for me in all the years. So they have been extremely supportive and see it as a compliment to Harlem Week and all of the wonderful things we have here in Harlem to celebrate our culture.
Oh, God. Thank you for that, Nikoa. And bottom line, let me just say, I still have my G-Star jeans from N Harlem. So,
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. That's great. I had so many lives in Harlem. People are like, oh, that's the N Harlem, the Park to Park Harlem, the Harlem that's called Black Lives Matter Nikoa. Like, which Nikoa are we talking about right now?
Absolutely. And Night Watchman, of course, you did hear that. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. So what do you have to say, Night Watchman?
Well, I mean, it's to me, it's great to just see this moment come together. Just the years of work, like they said, in the community that has led to this, and I appreciate the respect that you guys have had for the history and culture, because this is not just an event. It's like cultural anthropology. It's a preservation of our. It's the recognition that we're the only ones who can preserve our own culture, and it's with the current waves in the country of trying to erase our culture and erase our history. There's another imperative that comes behind this type of event, and preserving it and putting it back, and not only reaching back and presenting the legacy, but also now presenting an on-ramp for a younger generation to not only connect to that culture, but now to make their own history.
Yes, indeed. And you know what? Certainly, Musa, I always love hearing your story, especially because you have been a barrier breaker, no doubt. From your schooling to, of course, Mr. Model himself. I mean, you have to tell me about these journeys in these predominantly white spaces, man.
Yeah. Well, I want to say that first. I want to say to you, Curtis, reiterate what Nikoa said, and that was, before I get into that, was you have been such a champion for all of us. I mean, doing these, when I used to do all these events in Harlem, just to bring, people to Harlem. I remember people in the beginning of my events. This is in the early '90s, mid '90s. People would, especially my white friends, would get into a cab, literally, and come to Harlem, come to Lennox Lounge, and I orchestrated an event there, and just to really celebrate the culture, and then get back into a cab, because there was literally nothing around. And so, but because of my culture, because of what was ingrained in me from a little boy, I always kept Harlem. And I knew so many people. I mean, I'm just very fortunate. I can say I knew James Baldwin and Lena Horne. Those are my mentors, pretty much. Lena Horne was my mentor. So it's like, when you have these icons at such an early age, coming from Harlem, you're going to do some amazing things. It's just kind of, you're going to see some amazing things. Yes. And so, that particular festival, when I was 4 years old, as I said in the film, it took my life from black and white to color.
Nice.
And it really did. Because before that festival, everything was kind of the same. And then when I went to the festival, I was like this. I mean, I was already, they said a kid with a high IQ. And because of that, moment in time and the festival, I was ready to kind of take this moment and go other places. And I got a private school education. That private school, which I was the first Black child to integrate the most powerful private school in New York, Allen Stevenson. I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I integrated that. So, and then, so I don't even share that with people that, my life has been a series of firsts, because it just sort of makes you feel, I don't ever want to be separate from anyone, right?
Yes.
I like the connection with people. I love being from here. I love being someone who has done so many things and says, hey, look, guys, I came from the projects of Harlem, and if I can do it, you can do it. And so, my story, I went to Music and Art High School when it was in Harlem.
Yes, on the hill. That's right. On the
hill, it was so a couple things happened. The month, September '79, do your research, the first hip hop record premiered on the radio, Sugar Hill Gang.
Ooh, Rapper's Delight. Go ahead.
Rapper's Delight. So if you can imagine musicians coming into the school, and this particular art form was now just really having some type of traction nationally, it changed the trajectory of everyone in that school. I sat between two people who said they're going to go from musicians to being rappers. And I was like, one was named Ricky Walters, and the other one was named Dana McLeese. Ricky Walters went on to become Slick Rick.
Yes. Oh my God.
So they became icons. But this was their moment. They're 14 years old. And we all had these sort of it was an amazing moment in history that we were all sort of writing and creating. So we had an opportunity at that time to help, without knowing it, create history. When I was discovered by GQ magazine, I was the first Black male model in Harlem's history to make it internationally.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
You know, the gravity of every rapper, every athlete, every star wants to be a model. They want to do the campaigns and to sort of say today, but back then it was such it wasn't a thing to be a Black male model because they didn't see us as beautiful. So the ones that could crack through this sort of this space held such a weight. And then from Harlem at that time, which might sound like it's Harlem, fashion, Renaissance, this sort of mythic thing of Harlem. Harlem wasn't like that. Harlem was not the fashion capital of the world, guys. When I entered, it was not. I had to help them remember that it was the fashion capital once. Okay, so that was the sort of moment in time that that there was a Renaissance, that people did dress up, that we were the leaders. And so I grew up and came through that space at a very iconic time and helped become a trailblazer and help discover somebody that you might have heard name. Help kind of be one of his early mentors. Let's just say that. Tyson Beckford, 10 years later.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
So, there's those moments that you kind of look back on and you say, when you have a parent, a beautiful mom, and family, you can, your course will be a good course in life if you listen.
Beautiful. Well, hearing that, of course, from what I've seen of you, Nikoa, especially with Zuri, she's out there, she sees you, she knows that you are an impactful person in the community. So no doubt, I know she's going to be doing some big things, And I think about also, you were one of the first folks that I met that was truly a convener about things that were important and impactful when you were doing the hospitality summits. Just incredible. So tell me about the impetus for one of your other endeavors that, remember, I still call you about this one, and that, of course, is Harlem Park to Park, or the local vendor program.
Yeah. So, one of my passions is championing entrepreneurs, and throughout my career, even before I got to Harlem, which is how I landed in Harlem, I became known as, even when I worked for a retail developer, shopping centers around the country, I got a reputation for helping Black-owned stores get in shopping centers that they had not been able to get into, upscale shopping centers. And that's actually how Deborah Wright heard my name, because there were some people that she was trying to bring to Harlem, and they kept saying, there's a woman in DC named Nikoa Evans, she's getting us in to shopping centers, we need to get her here. Nice. And so that's always been my a passion of mine. And so I became an entrepreneur, and of course had the store. And Harlem Park to Park was formed out of a need in 2009, as you know, when the market was, the economy had entered a downturn. And so convening businesses, only 9 at the time, but growing that to a membership of over 300, so that we could work as a collective. I always understood the power of the collective. The community, if you bring a community together, especially one that is as innovative and as spirited as Harlem, you can get a lot of amazing things done. And so when Whole Foods announced that they were coming to Harlem, I saw an article, and this was in 2012, and they said they were coming. And at the time, of course, I was probably in the 3rd year of producing the Harlem Harvest Festival, which you funded the first year in 2010 through HCDC and funded every year since. And so it was at that time that I said, well, if they're coming in a few years, I have a lot of vendors in this festival that their product is amazing.
Yes.
How do I make sure that their product is on shelves when they open? And so I approached Whole Foods and I harassed them, honestly, calling them in the office saying they needed to partner with me on the Harvest Festival to start their community engagement long before the store opens. I said it would behoove you to start connecting with the community in advance because people do not see this as a positive that you're coming to 125th Street.
Right.
And so, but we can create a partnership that is mutually beneficial if you're open to it. And so they were. And so they were a sponsor of the Harvest Festival for several years. And we developed the Harlem Local Vendor Program together to ensure that those brands were ready when the store opens. Because one thing to say, ideally, we'd love to have product on shelves. But if you're working with a small vendor and they've never produced or distributed at a store that scale, they can leave the shelf as quickly as they get on the shelf, right? The goal is not just to get them on the shelves, it's for them to stay on the shelf. So there was some mentoring that needed to happen. So the Harlem Local Vendor Program really came out of recognizing that we needed to help them scale their businesses, help them with their packaging, their branding, pricing, all the things that are required for you to sell at that level. And they co-developed the program with me, and it was hugely successful, more than we ever thought. We opened the store in 2017 with 20 Harlem brands on the shelves. Many of those brands have gone on to tremendous success. They're selling around the country in other stores. They're selling throughout the Northeast and other areas for Whole Foods. And so it was beyond my wildest expectations because we started to create a cottage industry of a manufacturing industry here in Harlem. And now the HLVP has graduated almost 300 vendors through the program. And these brands are now operating, to be able to change the trajectory of very small home-based businesses and turn them into national brands that now some have stores, multiple stores throughout the city. They're selling internationally. It's a source of pride, but there's a common thread in all of the work that I do. If people really look closely, you'll always see the thread as I'm trying to create growth opportunities for entrepreneurs and promote Harlem in a way that allows our cultural assets to be preserved and benefit our community. And that's Harlem Festival of Culture is no different. The foundation that Musa and I created, Harlem Festival of Culture Foundation, was so that we could do this very work in conjunction with the festival.
Nice. One of the things I also want to know, because as I said, I have two of the three Musketeers here. So tell me about Yvonne McNair. How did you guys happen to also include her in the mix there as one of the partners there for Harlem Festival of Culture? Anyone?
So I had known Yvonne for several years and worked with her on a couple of events, through my company that I had, Musa Jackson Productions. And so, when, and she did like some signature events, national events, but not really, the Harlem community wasn't necessarily her, she didn't really know the people of the Harlem community.
Right.
So when she needed sort of that part was always like, if you want to fill up a space, don't care if it's Apollo, call Musa. You can fill it up and and make sure the community is there. If you got the community, it's going to be successful.
Yes.
And I would always tell that to businesses that you need us in order to be here. And so she called me a few times, and we did events. She did an event for Fantasia, who was at the Apollo. I did helped her organize the after party, and then we did a couple other things, something for Ebony magazine. So I helped fill that up for her as well. And then when, knowing that she had produced for Essence Festival, I was like, when we were putting this together, Nikoa had been, forming our company and, from July 21st, and we had been doing this for about 4 months, I would say. And I said, listen, we're going to need an event person to help with the talent and to specifically do the event because it was such a huge thing. And neither one of us had done anything at that scale. And so I always want to give opportunities to my people.
Yes.
That's just how I was raised. I was, my father, God rest his soul, was all about Black unity. So, that's how me and Nikoa got together. And so when I mentioned Yvonne to her and told her, what she had done, this is a Black woman, we wanted to work with her because of, what she could bring to the table, as well as the fact that, maybe together we could all make this really something amazing. And that's how the third person came involved.
Gotcha.
December or something like December of 2021. No, it's hard to believe it's like 2 years,
Yeah, a lot of time. Just going.
So,
Well, one of the other things, and a Night Watchman, sometimes I roast you, but it's out of love. We know this. So do just tell me that you are not.
Am I about to get loved on?
So you are not one of these people who 50 years ago predicted the death of hip hop. That is a passing fad, right? Just checking. Having said that,
I didn't even understand the question. Sorry.
No worries. I'm just going to go straight to the source. So, in terms of the music lineup, the entertainment lineup, remember now, and Musa, you said it. A lot of the old heads who attended back in '69, they're no longer around. And if they are, you don't necessarily want to see them up on a wheelchair performing. So, tell me, how did you guys arrive at this talent lineup, which is like stunning? Go ahead.
Once again, one of the ideas always for us was to see how it would be reimagined in 2023. And then, I think Yvonne's love of hip hop, and then Hip Hop 50. Hip Hop 50 sort of, we didn't realize when we were doing this that, it happened in discussions that, oh my God, it'll be Hip Hop 50. And then that became a huge thing.
Yes.
Like it became, it sort of took over. And so, Yvonne being the talent person, she, with her relationships, she was like, we should, it's going to be more geared towards hip hop. And that's how that kind of happened. Having MC Light, who she's a relationship with, and others, obviously, that she's close to or whatever, has relationships and worked with in the past. And a lot of them are hip hop. So that's how that kind of took over. It was Hip Hop 50. Let's honor Hip Hop 50 during its year, and that which happens to be our inaugural year. And then moving forward, let's see how we can definitely bring sort of some classic. I don't like to say old. I like to say classic.
Yes.
And obviously some bird talents. So let's see how that can happen. And I think that's what's great is that next year is the 55th anniversary of the festival. So our festival will be 55. So that's a landmark year. So we get to benefit having inaugural year 50-50, and then the following year is 55. So that's really exciting for us, is that we can really weigh in on that. And when you think about that, that's all about legacy. So we're going to be looking to our musical heroes who not on the wheelchair, but we, and really making sure that you and our elders have this incredible moment. And that's sort of in our thought patterns, everything about.
Wow. Night Watchman, you hear that? You are now a classic. So Nikoa, I have to ask you this. So in terms of, because we know that you have a strong relationship with vendors, from food to artists, you name it. So am I looking for some of those folk to be involved in the Harlem Festival of Culture?
Yes, thank you for asking about that. So absolutely, as much as we've talked about the music experience that will be there, it's so much more than a music concert. It is a full cultural celebration. So our Mart 125 marketplace, which was our way, again, we talked earlier about our showing respect and homage to Harlem legacy. Mart 125 was for an economic hub, right? For Harlem businesses. So it's been branded that way, and it is a marketplace that'll feature local Harlem businesses and Black-owned businesses. And it'll be food and beverage and all kinds of merchandise. So absolutely, there'll be a marketplace, as well as other experiences that will be presented by our sponsors, the activation. So the marketplace is presented by Shea Moisture, but many of our other brands also will have experiences for people. So it's really something to enjoy. It's music, it's food, it's fashion, it's family. You know, this is something that all ages should attend and consider this. You know, this is going to be all about Harlem love. And so it's more than a music concert, but the music's going to be rocking the whole time. People are going to just have the chance, like you said, convening. It's time for us to come together in a way, you know, to celebrate. So, you know, we couldn't be more proud of the fact that when you sit down at a table 2 years ago and conceptualize something, lots of people have vision and ideas, but to bring it to life and the work that has been a labor of love, day in, day out, you know, working without the resources sometimes to do what you need to do, but you're fueled by your passion. It's just tremendous. I know when we're standing out there next weekend and just looking at the people enjoying themselves, there'll be definitely moments where we kind of look at each other and say, man.
Excellent. Well, and I guess one of the other things, how did you guys also think about some of these other events, like, for instance, the Excellence Awards? I mean, where'd that come from? Tell me.
The Black Independence Awards?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Black Independence Awards. So that really came about during Juneteenth of 2022.
Gotcha.
And
our partnership
Uber,
with Uber.
right. Uber was a relationship sponsor, and they wanted to do something. So they sponsored the Black Independence Awards. And so, but yeah, that was just, coming out of that moment and really wanting to honor our community heroes, the businesses, and have them vote for themselves, have them nominate some businesses that really need some shine.
Yes.
And really just make it a celebration once again of our excellence. You're right. Of Harlem excellence.
Yes.
And really just, something that we just sort of came out of all of this, right? Came through, Harlem Festival of Culture, Black Independence Awards, which is now going to be something that will happen every year as well. So, it's just one of those beautiful things that happens when you put creatives together and we collaborate and people are all in the same, headset of what they want, right? And this beautiful moment came out. And so now it's 2 years of Independence Awards. It's kind of mind-blowing to say that.
Yes.
But yeah, that's how that came about.
Yeah, I definitely do love the feeling. It's almost like our Academy Awards. People come up, they show up, and they're putting on their finery, man. It's like
so that's a nice segue. Speaking of Academy Awards, so Musa, along the way in between the 15-hour days, you got a chance to kind of take a magic carpet ride along with this documentary. So we want to hear your take on it. Spill all the tea from Harlem to Hollywood. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Oh my God, spilling tea. Okay, good. Okay, so the film debuts, and before it debuted, it was winning all these awards. It won Sundance, it unprecedented, the Audience Award, the Grand Jury Prize, as well as the Vanguard Award, and that's the three major awards, which never really happens. 99 on Rotten Tomatoes. So it was just kept going up to the nomination of Oscar nomination for the film. And because of, they made me the anchor, the heart of the film. So they wanted me on tour. People kept asking, who was the little boy? Who was the heart of the film? All the critics, all the celebrities wanted to see me and hear my story. And so I got to go to the Oscar, and we were there when the whole thing happened. We had seen Chris Rock the night before at Questlove, the Roots does an Oscar sort of party where they have different celebrities at this club, and so it's kind of a pre-Oscar party. And he does this every year, but in this case, he's nominated. So it became incredible. So I'm walking around. Oh my God! Can I get your autograph? They were looking at me, and I'm there. And so Chris Rock was there, and Chris Rock said on stage, he said, "Listen, I'll see you guys tomorrow at the Academy Awards. But when you see me, just know I'm holding the envelope with the winner. And if you're in that envelope, right, just know, I'm going to be there."
Wow.
Fast forward 24 hours, we're all there. We're like excited, the whole team, the production crew, and then Will Smith.
Oh Lord, yes, God.
I had actually seen. They had an Oscar brunch. The Academy Awards has this huge Oscar brunch, and it's only for the nominees. So I was the only one from the cast. No. Hold on. Let me be clear about this. Myself and Marilyn McCoo.
Good one.
All right. Okay. Well, you got one less bell to answer.
Yes, I answered. And so we were all together. Will Smith, Steven Spielberg.
Oh.
When Steven Spielberg came up to me, interestingly enough, he came up to me and he said, "I loved you in the film, and I voted for you. I voted for you." He said that to me, and then he said, he looked at me, true story, and he said, "So who? This is your day. I know you're from Harlem." He said, "So who are you here with?" And I said, "I'm not alone. I brought 300,000 people with me."
Oh wow!
And he just stopped and he looked at me and he said, "Questlove got the right one." He said,
Excellent.
"Even in your moment, you brought your community with you." And I said, it's always going to be about Harlem. There were 300,000. I will say this now. There were 300,000 people, and we all went to the Oscars to meet together. I definitely wanted. I remember when we won, and I'm crying like a baby, and I'm doing live. I'm like, "Oh my God!" It was reaching out to me, and it was just such a beautiful moment that Harlem won. I was able to bring back the Oscar to Harlem. I was going to always be I'm the Harlem ambassador. What am I not going to do with that?
Exactly. Oh, NightWatchman, what other fire you got for us, man?
Wasn't that enough?
Okay. Yes.
Matter of fact, I don't know. We might see Musa in the Indiana Jones film. Snuck him in. No one has actually gone to see it, so we don't know yet.
That is true. NightWatchman. See, there's your fire. Oh my God. But I gotta say this. Okay, so we have the lineup, 3 days lineup of beginning this Friday. All right. So what were there any particular, let's say, of the musical acts that said, "Oh my God, gotta be there. We got to nail this person. Got to bring them in here." Who would you say was one of the ones you said, "Yes, well, we got him"?
Well, again, like Musa mentioned, Yvonne has a number of relationships. She's been working in the industry for many years, and so there was a talent that, sort of our signature performers in her lineup, and so Dougie Fresh, of course, right?
Harlem's own, yes.
Harlem's own was certainly going to be. You can't do a show,
yes.
Without Dougie. So it was a no-brainer to have him involved, and then also Teyana Taylor. So to have sort of the two Harlem. There's a lot of Harlem in the mix, but to have, she's having such an amazing year, and the film that she just did, she's transitioning, from music to acting and creative directing, and she's doing a number of things. But just really, people were super excited when they saw that she was a part of the lineup as well.
Nice.
So there were a lot of really, sort of iconic figures, both legacy and current, that were curated for this. And again, I think it's just a real testament to the amount of thinking that has gone into the curation of the entire experience, with all of the planning that's been happening. So, people need to get their tickets. The
Hmm.
Harlemites, $75 tickets for Harlemites. We want to make sure you got to make Harlem feel special the entire way through.
That's very nice. Very nice.
HarlemFestivalCulture.com
Hmm.
/tickets. They can get their tickets before next weekend, and like I said, it's a $75 rate for the daily pass. So we really want people to join us, and we want to celebrate the moment with everyone.
I'm loving this, and I definitely have to say, so knowing that with something big is started now, are there any things? Well, I guess after this is out the way, there will be, I guess, some tweaking for next year. Some things that you may do a little differently. I saw Musa, you shaking your head. Tell me.
No, I mean, I think everything's a learning experience.
Hmm.
And especially when you're bringing back something this magnanimous after all these years, you're going to, and then, you see what works and
Yes.
what doesn't work, right?
Hmm.
So, how we can make it better, what we
Yeah.
can add, what was some of the community feedback. Remember, it's always about the community. So if you say,
Yes.
hey, we would love to have seen this. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
you take those things in. That's important.
Yes.
Always never to believe that you know all. We don't know all. My mom said, "You don't know all." But you're here to learn. You're here to listen. So I think
Yes.
that's really important. I think Nikoa and I do really well is we listen to our community, and
Absolutely.
so and step back and say, "Okay, we heard you, and
Hmm.
this is what do you think about this?" So we can't, we have some ideas, some strong ideas for 2024. And Curtis,
Okay. Let me hear.
that when we'll be coming right back here, with some tidbits that we can definitely drop, because you've been there with us, from the very beginning. Soul Lounge has been with us from the very beginning when this was in its infancy in terms of staging. So we definitely will alert you guys on what that's going to look like.
Night Watchman, I'm loving this. I'm just loving this love fest, man. As a matter of fact, we should do a world tour just with those two. You know, what is
Absolutely, absolutely.
it?
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Go ahead, Night Watchman. You about to say something? I know.
No,
Um,
I'm feeling the love as well. It's great to see the work culminate, and so obviously we are uh urging everybody to make sure you go get those tickets. Now, what's the where do they go to Harlem Festival of Culture.com to order their tickets?
Yes, as soon as they land on the homepage, they'll see the
Mhm.
ticket button, and they'll be able to pick, a daily pass or a weekend pass, a VIP pass.
mm,
So there are a lot of different options, but
right.
certainly HarlemFestivalCulture.com or go to our Instagram page. There's information about getting the tickets.
Mhm.
Okay. I think Night Watchman, what you got queued up here?
Just trying to bring up the page so people
Oh.
can
Oh,
see it.
right. You can see.
There
Ah.
it is. And
Absolutely.
right there in the upper right corner, get tickets.
Mhm.
you, you know, you,
Yeah,
Yes. We
that's
want everyone to
that's
know.
the call to action.
Uh, and now, Watchman, you're not just a pretty face. This is why I have you. In terms of, let's say, the technical expertise you often display, I'm mystified and awed. Okay.
Well, that's not really a big deal, but
Okay. well, well,
since
well,
since we're roasting and all,
yes. Why not? I deserve it. I definitely deserve it. But you know what? I'm really, really excited because I've known you two, Musa and Nikoa, and I know that whatever you guys touch, it's going to be impactful. It's going to be big. So I'm really, really excited. And like I said, having attended the two Independence Awards, I see how you guys throw it down.
Hmm.
Also, as you said, getting the love from Harlem legacy folk like Lloyd and Voza is so very, very important. And anybody who's not in this particular mix wouldn't know that. So you guys
Exactly.
can understand. So please, I mean, just tell me some of it because it's happening on Friday now. The
Mm-hmm.
start. Tell me what are your feelings as you're about to go live, as they say?
Yes. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 day
Mm-hmm.
festival.
Yep.
But as you said, um, from the very beginning, even when we announced it, you were at the breakfast
Mm-hmm.
in April of last year. We said from the very beginning, we can't do this without Harlem. And
Yes.
so making the rounds to all of the leaders and the community organizations, this is why we're here. I mean, again, I said in the beginning, Musa and I came together as a way to preserve the festival because we didn't want someone from outside the community
Oh,
to take this
yes.
from the community. That was the catalyst for how we even came together for this. So
And
we
Nikoa, for 1 second, I do remember a slight discussion that there was someone from outside who was thinking about. So
Yeah.
tell me about that
that's what
little
happened.
drama. Mm-hmm.
Literally what happened. I was reviewing, some documents, a trademark search for something that I was doing. And I happened to see that someone had filed a trademark for Harlem Cultural Festival. And I
Wow.
assumed this was shortly after the film had come out. And I assumed Musa was involved. So I called him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, I see a trademark was filed. Are you working with this person? And of course he said no. And then he made some phone calls to the producers of Summer of Soul to see if they were, and they confirmed that they were not. And we did a little bit more digging. We realized who the person was. They were not from the community, did not look like they were from the community. And the trademark had been filed a week prior to when I said this. So
Wow.
it was July 15th. Now the film debuted in Harlem 2 weeks before
Yes.
that. So this person had seen the film, saw the opportunity to commercialize it,
Wow.
filed a trademark, and immediately Musa and I said, wait a minute, we can't let this happen. This person is going to appropriate this. We have to bring this back. Even though we've never produced anything on this scale, we've got to figure out how to do it.
Yes.
And Musa so eloquently said, over my dead body. Will
That
this
was
happen?
actually nice. That was a nicer version.
Okay, yeah, we can't say curse words on air. I finished the word dead. And then we the next day met and started mapping out the business plan because we said we have to do it. And it really just speaks to how important it is for communities, cultural communities. I talk about this a lot. We as a community, we have so much innovation and creativity that we don't ensure is protected. Something as
Yes.
simple as a trademark for a legacy that was 50 years old, just sitting out there floating in the
Wow.
ether, was available
Yes.
for somebody to take, and then they would have turned that into a money-making enterprise that would have had
Yes.
nothing to do with us.
Yes.
And as a community, we realize, we have to make sure that we own our cultural assets as a community, even with something that's not a physical product. I tell this to people, it's not just a physical product that you need to trademark or a brand name. Harlem Cultural Festival, Mart 125. These are things that there are communities like Harlem around the country that people are producing things and they don't realize that very thing. Have they protected it so that someone from outside the community cannot take it and commercialize it? So we're hoping that people see what we're doing here in Harlem as a model and they replicate that. And I'm very specific when I say cultural communities, make sure you own your cultural assets so that we were able to prevent it from happening. We stopped it. But what if we hadn't? Someone else would own Harlem Cultural Festival that had nothing to do with Harlem.
Wow.
Think about that.
Incredible. Oh man. So yes, Musa, I saw your fire, your heat about to rise on that bad boy when you got that call from Nikoa, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, it was a moment where, I was riding high off of the premiere, which was in Harlem, and then just what happened after that was just, life changing, right? Life altering.
Yes.
And so getting calls from it's just crazy around the world. And so then when Nikoa called me that evening, my brain was like, okay, I'm still trying to digest what's happening. But when she said that to me, I said what I said, which was over my body. And but it went right into my spirit because that's just who I am and how I'm raised. That ain't gonna happen. Like it's just not, it's just not gonna happen. and we will do everything that we can to make sure that we protect this festival and make sure it's seen, for our families, people from here. It's important and that's how it began. And here we are. Also want to say, I'm a kid from NightWatchman, which is for people outside of the community, New York City Housing Authority, aka the Projects. Just call it the Projects, right?
Yes.
And so, I was a kid from the Projects who went to this incredible festival with his family. And one of the things we always talk about from the very, very beginning, from our first phone calls or first desk meetings at Nikoa's was just, we got to make sure that, these are the descendants of the 300,000 people that went, right?
Yes.
These people that were there, these beautiful people, didn't have a lot of money. They just had love. They had family, and this is a free festival. Obviously, in 2023, that's not possible. So we said, why don't we, through our foundation, Harlem Festival of Culture Foundation.org, right? We decided to partner with NightWatchman. They thought it was an incredible idea to be able to give ticket people, sponsors, anyone can go on our site, Harlem Festival of Culture Foundation.org, purchase a $75, donate $75 because it's always a donation when you do it through a foundation. And that money we can send a person to the festival. And they'll be like, yeah. And they love that. And it's something that we're definitely going to be looking at every single year, that it's populated with people that were there originally. And we know that things are, in 50 years, there's a lot of things that are still the same. And that's part of it, one of it. But we know that there might be that little boy with the mom today, and we know that if we can get to him, we're going to change more lives in the future. So,
Yes, hfcfoundation.org, hfcfoundation.org. If you go to our website homepage, you can donate, and we're going to try to send as many as we can.
Excellent. And you know what? Are there any particular, let's say, sponsors in these remaining moments, sponsors who you want to give a shout out to, we got them and they are big?
Can we start? You want to start, Nikoa?
How about?
Go ahead.
Hold on. I'll start, and then you keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, Nikoa. I'll start. Uber. Go, Nikoa.
Steve Madden. Curtis, you were at the
Design Challenge.
Design Challenge Awards in March.
Yes.
And Daquan Cherry was selected as the winner. This is one of our economic development initiatives under the foundation, which to provide an opportunity for a creative from Harlem to co-design the merchandise for the festival.
Yes.
And so Daquan, the winner, has been working with Steve Madden, who's been the most incredible partner, and designing the collection for the last 3 months, which we just dropped this week on Monday or Tuesday. And if you go to the hfcfoundation.org, you can see the online store. The merchandise has been flying off the shelves, the virtual shelves, if you will.
Congrats.
Yes. Yeah. And I just have to say this about Uber and Steve Madden. What's interesting is that we've been working with, a lot of times with events like this, it's the marketing departments that you're working with on the brand partnership, because that's really where the focus is, where the ROI is being measured, et cetera. But with Uber and with Steve Madden, it's their social impact division that we're working with. That says a lot. Yes. It's social impact. April Dinwiddie, who runs DEI and belonging at Steve Madden, and Rachel Friedlander at Uber, who's social impact. When that's the division you're working with, the metrics completely change. It's not just about marketing impressions and advertising metrics. It's about the impact on the people of that community. And so Steve Madden, as an example, they came in, their sponsorship was split. Half of it went to the festival, half of it funded the foundation. They were our founding donor for the foundation, just so that we would have the funding needed to produce social impact initiatives in Harlem. I mean, that is how committed they were to that. And so the design challenge, and seeing that this creative, Daquan, who entered not as a product designer or even a graphic designer, he's a painter.
Yes.
And thought that this wasn't even for him, and was almost not even going to submit an application, but the last minute he did, and then he ended up winning the whole thing. And now he's produced wearable art with one of the biggest global brands in the fashion industry, and his entire opportunity have changed because it's flying off the shelves. So it just goes to show the pathways that we're creating through the foundation, in addition to the way in which we're able to showcase Harlem through the festival. I mean, it's the mission in full for us. It's entertainment plus impact.
Beautiful. But big ups to Steve Madden and Uber. Big ups. So, NightWatchman, would you like to take us home?
Yeah, we're in the final stretches. We want to thank our guests from the Harlem Festival of Culture and HFCFoundation.org. Great work what you're doing to have not only a cultural but an economic impact, and I'll say a spiritual one. So on that note, you've been listening to Soul Lounge Primetime on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook and on your favorite podcast platforms, including Amazon Music, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Ask Alexa, ask Siri, ask anybody. You can find Soul Lounge Primetime on Monday nights.
NightWatchman, yay!
All right.
Guys, love y'all. And I can't wait till Friday. I'm there.
All right. Thank you.
All right.